Hey guys, today I want to talk about narcissism. First of all, I want to say that I'm sorry for the emotion I displayed in the last couple of videos I uploaded. I became emotional in them. I used a lot of profanity. That was not my intention. I started this channel with the intention of staying cool and calm and collected and just presenting arguments in a very rational way and not show any emotion, because I know that by showing emotion, I'm giving my haters ammo to shoot me with. Like, they can use that emotion as evidence that I'm unstable and I'm crazy. See, she's a psycho and whatever. And so I didn't want to give them that ammo, but I tell you, it's really hard to not get emotional sometimes. I am only human, and when I hear about these regular ongoing attacks on innocent children, you know, how dogs are regularly disfiguring children in unprovoked attacks, and how our society continues to glorify and worship dogs in spite of this evidence, it really makes my blood boil. How people deny facts about dogs, how people are continuing to have their lives destroyed by these beasts, and how society just continues to ignore it or to deny it. It's just infuriating. And it's also really difficult to remain cool and level-headed when you have a bunch of people coming onto your channel, calling you crazy, constantly trying to abuse you. I am only human, so I normally just try to ignore it, the abuse, because, like I'm going to explain in this video, I recognize a lot of narcissistic traits in these people, these dog owners. I've made some videos in the past about mental illness, the psychology of dog owners, the psychology of pit bull advocates, and but I didn't really talk about narcissism. And so that's why I have to make this video. Narcissism is something that I didn't know too much about. I told you all that I have friends who are social workers and who work in the field of psychiatry. But even these friends of mine don't have a lot of experience with narcissism, because they say they don't see a lot of narcissists in their practice, because narcissists don't think they are sick. They don't think they suffer from any illness, so they almost never seek treatment. So, they don't see a lot of narcissists in their practice, so we don't talk about them much. But I have some viewers on my channel who have narcissistic parents, and they have intimate knowledge of narcissists and have shared a lot of their knowledge with me. And so I want to share that with you. I have a viewer called Jim C, who always leaves the most eloquently written, brilliant comments. Thank you so much, Jim, for your contributions. They are so valuable to my channel. I don't know if you all read his comment under my last video, but he's just talking about the tricks that these people, these dog owners, employ when you confront them with, whenever they're breaking the law, or whenever they are behaving in an antisocial manner, when their behaviors are affecting you and your life in a negative way. They employ these same tactics that narcissists employ. And we're going to get into those. Jim is talking about, he's giving the example, if you confront someone who has their dog off lead or off leash in places where dogs are supposed to be leashed or on a lead, they will often, or usually, just say things to minimize or reduce their own culpability. They'll use the excuse of, well, it was just a brief and unusual exception, or, whatever. They'll come up with some kind of excuse to paint them as a victim and paint you as the animal-hating oppressor. Now, I have encountered this countless times with neighbors that had barking dogs, people with animals off leash where they were not supposed to have animals off leash. Anyway, if things go badly, right? Let's say the dog does do something, bites a child or whatever, they will do what Jim says, a variation of the narcissistic, look what you made me do. The most common form of this is to blame the children who were attacked, or claim that the children frightened of a barking, growling, lunging dog are being unreasonable, right? They paint the dog into the innocent victim, and the actual victim, the child, becomes the oppressor, or the one who did the wrong thing, right? It's amazing. This is a fine example of what I discussed in my video about cognitive dissonance. DARVO, which stands for deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender. Now, this is something narcissists do, and dog owners do it too. I have said, and so has I Hate Dogs, we've talked about how these dog owners suffer from a severe mental disorder. They do. We don't yet know exactly what it is. So I don't pretend to have all of the answers. We are still trying to get to the bottom of this disorder. But it's very clear that they do show a lot of narcissistic traits. Now, it says, Jim says, it seems to be a common but totally crazy belief among dog owners that they have the right to introduce a dangerous animal into the world of children and then expect the children to take sole responsibility for their own safety in the proximity of that dangerous animal. For example, children and dogs can share a beach or a park together as long as the children avoid eye contact, avoid running or other sudden movements, avoid loud, high-pitched sounds, avoid running away or defending themselves when the dog attacks, avoid throwing or kicking balls, avoid falling down or tripping, avoid showing the dog that you are frightened of it, and the list could go on. Now, this is what I'm talking about. Dog owners will always blame the children. These are all very normal behaviors that children should be allowed to do. But yet they're not. Dog owners say that, they're not allowed to do these things. If they do, they're at fault. He writes, I think the common reason for people not supporting you when a dog nut imposes their house pet on you is that many people have experienced and are afraid of narcissistic rage and narcissistic revenge. People also know that when you criticize a narcissistic dog owner, that many other irrational narcissistic dog owners will jump in. And I have seen this. My last video about the guy at the soccer field with his dog off leash, it triggered a shitstorm. And I have received a lot of hate over that video. And not only on YouTube, but on other social media. People have tracked me down. They have sent hate, and they've engaged in what we're going to get into soon, trying to attack my character, and they're engaging in what's called a smear campaign. Anyhow, they're sending messages, attacks, very personal attacks. Their go-to seems to be, I feel sorry for her kids. Talk about me, they feel sorry for my kids. Like, why? My kids are the happiest kids you'll ever meet. Well, you don't know. You guys don't see my kids, but they are doing so much better mentally, emotionally, and physically than most children in this world. They are extremely bright. The brightest, happiest kids that my friends tell me they've ever seen. And there's nothing to feel sorry about. But they will say that because they think it's a weak spot of mine, that if they say that, it's going to hurt me. You see, they're really trying to hurt me. They're really trying. People have dug up things I've done in the past. I'm talking about people I've known personally. They bring up stuff from my past that they think, I'm going to feel bad about if they bring it up. They poke at what they think are my most sensitive areas to really try to hurt me. And this is that narcissistic revenge. And then Jim goes on to say that when we challenge the fantasy world of the narcissist, we challenge the beliefs they have that the animals, these dogs, love them unconditionally, and that it is loyal to them, and that they are kind and admirable people because they rescue and adopt homeless dogs, that they are upstanding and outstanding members of the community because of their love for dogs. So when we challenge those beliefs, he writes, that's when the scaffolding of their fragile self-esteem is threatened, and they feel hollow, empty, and under attack. So just by pointing out evidence, statistics, the truth, and the facts about dogs, they feel a very terrible feeling. They feel like they're being attacked, and their entire identity, their fragile self-esteem is threatened. And he writes, they do not recognize that they are in the wrong. And neither do narcissists. What they perceive is a monstrous, inexplicable attack on their identity, which opens earlier narcissistic wounds. So they have to hit back and try to hurt, and to try to make the other person the bad person, because that's the only way they can achieve some kind of psychological equilibrium again, and to feel better, is by making the other person crazy. Jim writes, they attack your mothering skills not because they know anything about them, but because that is the weak spot of any good mother. They are attacking your mothering skills because you are a good mother, and they know that such accusations will bewilder and hurt a parent who cares. That's why we get accused of being crazy, uncaring, and unempathetic, because these are accusations that will hurt most people. He writes, there is no argument there, only a desire for revenge. Narcissists always go after the jugular. Now, people might wonder why I delete a lot of the comments on my channel. I do. When people come on my channel and they are abusive towards me, or they use like fucking crazy, call me names and stuff like that, I know that they are not interested in arriving at some sort of understanding with me. They're not interested in a rational discussion. Their motivation for coming onto my channel and commenting is to hurt me and to discredit me. And I know that engaging with these people is a waste of time. I'm going to share a link in the description box that will take you to an article that Jim shared with me in the comments section on my last video about narcissism, about what happens when the narcissist knows we have figured them out. And in that article, it's written that not one moment spent in the malicious cesspit created by the narcissist will bring you anything positive. And this is something I've learned, that when I try to engage with these people who defend dogs and who are clearly demonstrating narcissistic traits, it never amounts to anything positive. It spirals downwards into a cesspool of utter insanity. And it's just so negative and toxic, and the other person doesn't feel better. I don't feel better. It's really negative, and I don't have any room in my life for that kind of thing. Now, people can do what they want to do. You want to create a channel, to bash people, make videos trying to discredit people, harass them, bully them, or whatever. I mean, I believe that's against the community guidelines on YouTube, but I mean, that's your prerogative, man. But don't come on my channel. I am not going to provide you a platform for your narcissistic rage. I know that it is really toxic, and I'm not going to engage. Like this article explains, narcissists are bullies. They do not care about anyone but themselves. People to the narcissist are only tools that serve a distinct purpose, which is to feed their beliefs about the fantasy land they have created. Now, these dog owners have a fantasy land that they have created in their minds, and they will only surround themselves with people who feed that. And if you don't feed it, they're going to get really, really angry. Like narcissists, dog owners need to believe that they are wonderful people, great people, and that their dogs are wonderful. And so, they have this false sense of reality. And when you come along and you poke at that, and you provide evidence that it's not the case, and that their fantasy is just that, it's a fantasy, then they get a glimpse into the true nature of reality, and they can't handle that at all. And that's what triggers their rage. So the article says that most of the time their denial is almost bulletproof, and it successfully shields them from their awful truth. It is almost inconceivable to them that they could be flawed. And so they can't handle it. They get really angry, and they need to reestablish power and regain their inner equilibrium. And to get back to feeling safe in their make-believe world, they need to reestablish control and power over you. They do this in a very frenzied, manic way. It says that they become hell-bent on proving you wrong and making you appear crazy. And they want to discredit you at all costs. To their way of thinking, if they establish this for themselves, they also nullify the threat you pose to their false selves. So if they can make it and convince themselves and others that you're crazy, then, you're no longer a threat to them. See, the thing with me is that I come around, I start poking at people's beliefs about dogs, I start showing facts about dogs. I'm a threat to these people. They can't handle that, so they need to make me look like the crazy one. So that, they don't have to admit that they're wrong. So what are their go-to methods? I mentioned the narcissistic rage. This is the fury. They get really upset, and they will, they want to hurt you. And sometimes, it will be verbal, written, obviously. It can even escalate to physical aggression. So then they're talking about cruelty. Following that rage is the shift back to calculated manipulation and abuse. It is the return from being out of control to fully in control. Now, they are going to try to punish you because in their minds they are entitled to do so and you deserve it. And so they have different ways of doing this. And I have experienced a lot of them. Baiting. Someone that I knew personally in the past did this, and a lot of people do this still that I don't even know. By poking at my mothering skills, for example, they think it's going to hurt me. They deliberately provoke and antagonize you to react negatively by jabbing at your deepest wounds. They try to provoke a reaction out of you to get you upset. They want you to get emotional and upset. That's what they're hoping for. They gaslight, making you question your sense of reality and mental health. Smear campaigns, there you go. Spreading false information and gossip to discredit, undermine, control, and isolate you further. And there's a link here on what can be done to stop the narcissist smear campaign, and that explains why I do not engage and why I block people. They say you need to cut the strings with narcissists because they thrive on your reactions. They want you to get upset. They feast on that. And then they use your emotional reactions as evidence that they are right. They'll say, aha, see, she is crazy because she's getting mad. They will completely ignore their role in it. They will overlook the fact that they pushed you to the edge, just completely deny their role in it and just use that as evidence you're nuts. And that's why I'm sorry I got emotional with people in my last video. I did not want to give them that ammo, but I'm going to try really to remain unemotional from now on because I don't want to give these people what they're looking for. And that's why you don't engage with them. They are going to, and they have come up with the most ridiculous stories about me. They're spreading misinformation about not only me, but my followers, my supporters. They're telling lies. They're fabricating stories that are not true. And this is all in an attempt to discredit us and to make us look crazy. And they're desperate to do that. And so engaging with them, it explains here, only strengthens their game because they use any reaction you give them as more ammo. And it just keeps the cycle going. And so it says that the best thing to do is to cut the strings, to not engage with them at all. Because it's never going to end well. It's just a waste of time. And so that's that. I'm going to leave the link in the description box for you to read. But that's why I hide people from my channel, because I'm not going to engage in any discussion with people who are mentally sick, and I just don't want to provide them the platform to do that on my channel either, because we deal enough with like on a day-to-day basis in real life, we come across so many crazy dog owners that coming to my channel, people have said is a refreshing and much needed break from that, and it's a therapeutic place for them to come, and I want to keep it that way. So you guys can have your channels where you bash dog haters, do whatever you guys want to do, but it's not going to be done on my channel. My channel is a channel for dog haters, and we're not interested in arguing with you guys, because we do that enough in real life with people. If you don't like my content, you can go away. And nobody's forcing you to watch my videos, and I'm just not going to engage. It's important to recognize these tactics when you are dealing with dog owners. Engaging with them is very toxic, and it's going to be harmful for you. And to subject yourself to their abuse, we need to protect ourselves from this. It is an act of self-preservation and self-love to shield ourselves from abuse. And what they will do is try to they'll accuse you of censorship or of being a pussy or whatever if you protect yourself. They will always try to find a way to make you, look bad and make themselves look good. So don't try to defend yourself, because no matter what you say, in their sick minds, they're going to twist it in their favor, and they're going to use it in a very sick way against you. So don't give them that ammo. It's very interesting to see the connections between narcissists and dog lovers, dog owners. Clearly, they suffer from a mental illness. They will not admit that it's a mental illness, but you can see the tactics at work. Do not allow them to hurt you. Protect yourself and understand where it's coming from. So that's my video on narcissism. I invite you all to look in the comments. I'm sure that my viewers are going to provide excellent information in the comments. People who have more experience with narcissists, please feel free to contribute your insights and advice. And I think it's just really important that we expose this mental illness. And maybe even if, dog lovers, owners are not able to see themselves as sick or admit that they are sick, we need to raise public awareness. We need to raise consciousness. And this is the goal of my channel. Yeah, this is what I wanted to talk about too. When I get comments, sometimes people will comment things and I'll be like, what? What? Like, I just can't even understand what they're talking about. And I think this is because we all have a way that we see the world, and we expect others to think about the world the way we think about the world. Like, for example, I care about humans, I care about children, and I expect everyone else to care in the same manner. Like, how can you not care? And what I can't understand is the way other people's minds work. I have people come on my channel and accuse me of making shit up to gain more viewers. I'm like, what? But what that tells me is that there are people out there that actually do that. Now, it would never, ever even cross my mind to do that. I don't do this at all. I do research, and I have this channel to try to raise awareness because I care about children and people and humans and future generations. I care about the environment, and I'm trying to save it. And I'm realizing, like, people can't even fathom this. Like, they can't believe that that's my motivation. I've had people tell me that I am using children to further my agenda, and that my agenda is actually to get people to hate dogs and hurt dogs. And that just makes me shake my head like, wow, like, how can you even think that way? That is like the farthest thing from my mind. But that just shows me that that's where other people's minds are at. Their agenda is very selfish, or their agenda is malicious. And it just always fascinates me that, and it's really disturbing that there are actually people like that out there, that assume that because that's what they're doing, that I'm doing that. It's like, no, buddy, like, that's so not my agenda here. but they won't even believe me. You know, it's crazy. And I could defend myself to these people and until I'm blue in the face. They still won't believe me. They're going to be so convinced that my agenda is evil, or that my goals are not noble. I think they are. I'm trying to save human lives. I'm trying to prevent children from being injured and killed unnecessarily. And, you could bring up the argument that, bees kill more people, die from bees and wasps. Well, it's more difficult to keep those out of our environment, but nobody needs a dog. A lot of people need to drive cars, need to get onto airplanes, need to eat. They'll say, oh, yeah, you have a higher chance of dying from choking. Well, it's not like I can stop eating. But choosing to not become a dog owner is really easy. And I think that's maybe something I need to focus on more. I was talking to a good friend of mine today who was saying that, maybe the problem is that people believe that they need dogs. They need them. But I made a video about this. They think they need dogs for their health or their social lives or whatever. But they don't, because there are alternatives. There's no alternative to not eating, or to eating or whatever. You know what I mean? You need to eat. You don't need to own a dog. So, these are all things I could try to explain to these people. But the truth is, they're not interested in coming to an agreement or to arrive at a truth or a resolution. All they want to do is discredit me and paint me as crazy. So why should I engage with them? It's a waste of my time. No matter what I say, they're going to twist it to make me crazy. And they're never going to accept anything I say. They're never going to accept any of the evidence I provide. So it's a waste of time. I feel like I could just talk to you all day and all night about this, but I'm going to wrap it up for now. I might have Ragnar come back and share some of his insights when it comes to narcissism. I think this is a very, very important topic, and we all need to be talking more about it. So, I'm going to ask Ragnar if he wants to come back for another talk. And I thank you so much for listening. And I'll just have you look at this beautiful sky. I'm just sitting out here on my deck, and it is gorgeous. So pretty. Look at that.
What's that type of bird?
I don't know. That's a sound we don't hear very much. I think those are those new Oregon juncos that I saw today. Whoa, where are they?
They look like swallows.
Did you see them?
I think they're right there.
There's these birds with like these black heads, and they're really tiny. And I looked in the bird book, and they're called Oregon juncos, I think. We saw all kinds of cool birds today.
Yeah.
We have some
Mom,
doves. Thanks for watching, guys. And I'll catch you in my next video, hopefully with Ragnar. Bye. And remember, the future is dog-free.